Today's 15-minute challenge is going to be draw a still life. So this is my still life view. I've just put some paint pots there and paintbrushes and my cup, and because it's an upright still life, I'm going to turn my paper around this way because that's upright as well, and that makes it easier to fit everything in. I am using today a 8B pencil, which is a really dark pencil actually, but it's just what I found. So let's begin our 15-minute challenge. I am measuring using the end of my pencil like this to see how big everything is, and you've got to make sure that you keep your arm outstretched the same distance, otherwise you will have different measuring. And don't lean in and lean forward either, because otherwise you'll be measuring something wrong. So it's a really good idea to do this to get your proportions in first. And then after you've done that, you can start filling in the gaps really. So that's just so I know. I'll turn the paper around to make it easier. Okay, so let's start with that curve of the cup. And remember, this is not about perfection, this is just to get you being creative. And what I like to say is that everybody starts somewhere, and it's all to do with practice. So don't ever compare yourself, your start of your journey, to somebody else's middle, or somebody that's been doing it for years and you know have got a lot of experience and a lot of practice. Don't ever compare yourself, because we're not the same. Everybody has different strengths and weaknesses. So I'm turning the page round because when you're drawing something, you can't ever get it the same shape on one side to the other unless you're ambidextrous. So if you do one shape, which is your easiest side, which is that side, and then that side would be wonky, twizzle your page round, makes it a lot easier. Now I'm just gonna figure out what that bit is that I measured before. Let's cross there. And the other thing about still life that you've got to keep making sure you do is look. So because we know what things look like, we tend to guess. And when you guess, that's when you go wrong. So always keep measuring. Don't guess. Our eyes and brains trick us in a way, because it's like we think we know what something is because we've looked at it a few times, you know, or you see it every day if you're using an object that's like an everyday object, you think you know what it looks like, but actually it's sometimes it can shock you that when you draw it and you're like, what, that doesn't look like that. And that's because we're just guessing, we're not actually really looking. So that's what we must do. We must keep looking, keep measuring and keep looking. And this is a really good way of building up your skills. If you want to do painting or anything like that, it's a really good way of building up your skills to do painting, because you have that eye then of what you're looking at before you start painting. So I'm just filling in all the paint brushes now, which is the thing that's going to be the trickiest, I think, because they're all at different angles. So that's another good tip. So my paintbrush is at a wonky angle, so I'm going to use my pencil at a wonky angle to measure it and to see what angle that is. So when I put it down on the page, it is that wonky angle that goes right the way down to the pot. If I measured it straight and it's wonky, it's not going to work. So let's just fill in the brush bits. See how I've gone off the edge of the pot there? I'm going to rectify that by moving the line. And that's okay to do, because it's just a still life sketch. You can use a rubber if you want. I don't really use rubbers that much. Obviously if it was something, you know, that was going to be a commission or something, I'd rub bits out that was wrong, but it's quite nice to look at your marks sometimes to see where they are. So do let me know how you're finding these 15-minute challenges. Have they been helpful? Are they helping you to focus a bit? You know, is there anything that you're struggling with? Do let me know. So I was gifted quite a few brushes, and I haven't got a clue what some of them are for, so that's quite interesting. I'm going to look into what some of them are for. Some of them are really funny shapes. They're for oil paint, I think, and I've only ever done oil paint a bit at uni, but just for one day, and I enjoyed it actually, but it is a slow process, so I've not really looked into it or anything. I'll do my ellipses a bit better. That's better, I think. And you can put rough lines in where things are as well. You don't have to fill the whole thing in if you don't want. What I think's really nice is when you shade a bit and you leave a bit blank. That looks quite nice. So you see, this is just a quick quick 15 minutes, but if I liked what I was doing afterwards, I could carry, if I had the time, I could carry on, you know, and do more. So the 15 minutes is just a guide to get you kick started. And then, yeah, if you wanted to carry on with it, you just carry on. Some of these paintbrushes are at a funny angle. I didn't stage the paintbrushes, they're just all in my pot. So I didn't like move them around or anything. And now I'm thinking maybe I should have. So that jar's got a funny handle on it. The rope bit, which is tricky. So what time are we on? We've got 3.5 minutes left. So instead of doing detail, let me get the rest of the things in. So let's get the paint, the bottle of paint in. Because the other bits can come later. If I was going to carry on working on it. So the idea is today you set yourself a still life up. It can be anything. It can be a vase of flowers. It could be your art stuff like I've done. Anything at all, but something interesting. You don't want something boring. And then, yep, set your timer, your 15-minute timer, and just get going with your still life drawing. And this just really helps you observe, because that's what being an artist is really, or a creative. Observing things, like it's amazing because we get to see things that other people miss, which is like phenomenal, really. And the more you look, the more you get to see. So keep your eyes open when you're out and about and doing things, and then you'll get to see things, and the world will suddenly be different because you'll actually notice. So I'm just going over the edges now, not the edges, like the corners, a bit darker, and this just gives it a bit of definition. It makes it so it's not flat on the page. So anywhere that there's a little corner bit, and you can see how it brings it off the page. Sometimes when you're doing a still life, it's kind of flat. And it's just little things like that, just adding little bits that turn it from just a bog standard drawing into something that's a bit, a bit more like, looks real. Oh, There's my alarm. So that's the 15 minutes up, and you can see this is my still life that I've done. And there is obviously more to be worked on it. But yeah, I'm quite pleased with that really, especially because it was quite a tricky thing. Let's move it up next to the, can we do it like that? So that's what I was drawing. You see. So yeah, enjoy your still life work today.